In many cases, it is obvious and many of you are aware of it. But, in addition to this, I will also tell you about the risks of using magnesium, which, as it turns out, not everyone is aware of. I will start with the advantages of using magnesium supplements. We will discuss the risks closer to the end of the program. For which health issues can magnesium supplements be beneficial? First, as we have mentioned several times in our programs, magnesium supplements with vitamin B6 help many people quickly get rid of leg cramps when legs cramp, twist, or turn in the evening, at night, or even during the day. Additionally, magnesium supplements with vitamin B6 often help with restless leg syndrome, when a person's legs twitch in bed at night or there is an irresistible urge to move their legs. Or the same thing happens during the day when sitting for a long time. So the use of magnesium supplements with vitamin B6. In many cases, but not all, helps to quickly deal with cramps in the legs and with restless leg syndrome. In these conditions, it is usually sufficient to take 2 to 3 or 4 weeks to take magnesium with vitamin B6 for the unpleasant sensations to subside. However, as I mentioned, magnesium with vitamin B6 in these situations does not help in 100% of cases, because both leg cramps and restless leg syndrome can be caused not only by a simple magnesium deficiency in the body, but also by other reasons, which we have discussed in the relevant programs. Links to these programs are provided in the video description, and you can watch them if you wish. When else can magnesium be beneficial to us? Magnesium is involved in maintaining the normal function of the nervous system and heart muscle and has a vasodilating effect. It stimulates bile secretion and increases intestinal motility, which, attention, aids in the elimination of cholesterol from the body. And sometimes taking magnesium, very quickly, literally in a few days, helps to normalize blood pressure in cases where it is elevated, especially in cases of increased blood pressure due to nervous tension, that is, against the background of stress. In addition, taking magnesium helps many people with increased irritability, overwork, and chronic fatigue syndrome. It often helps with insomnia as well, in cases of difficulty falling asleep, and in those cases when a person wakes up in the middle of the night and then cannot fall asleep for a long time. The fact is that these conditions are often also caused by a lack of magnesium in the body. It is important to know that when a person is in a state of stress, strong nervous tension, and overwork, they have an excessive consumption of magnesium. And, in addition, strangely enough, there is an excessive consumption of B vitamins. This, by the way, often happens during intense mental work as well. And it is precisely magnesium and B vitamins that can help many people in such a situation. Magnesium supplements can also help in some cases with gastrointestinal spasms, increased heart rate, fibromyalgia, and muscle pain and spasms. Quote, "A magnesium deficiency in the body can manifest in various ways: insomnia, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, migraine, arrhythmia, constipation, premenstrual syndrome, that is PMS. These are the benefits of magnesium supplements. At first glance, magnesium seems almost like a panacea in many cases. However, it's time to talk about the downsides and risks of using magnesium. The fact is, recently, alongside the excessive intake of vitamin D, another trend has emerged. Some people take magnesium supplements uncontrollably for extended periods. For health, as they say. Or people take magnesium supplements without even knowing it. For example, as part of blood thinning tablets, in combination with aspirin, that is acetylsalicylic acid, or as part of vitamin-mineral complexes. What can all this lead to? With prolonged intake of magnesium, especially in excessive doses, an overdose can occur, a condition called hypermagnesemia. Early signs and symptoms of hypermagnesemia include lowered blood pressure, bradycardia, that is, a decrease in heart rate and a sudden flush of the skin, of the face, headache, nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, slurred speech, weakness, and dizziness in the presence of kidney failure. In short, it is important to know that even the intake of magnesium by itself, even without an overdose, in some people it can cause side effects such as abdominal pain, constipation instead of the expected laxative effect, nausea, vomiting, or flatulence, bloating, or cause various allergic reactions. In all these cases, the intake of magnesium supplements should be immediately discontinued. It is also important to know that, according to the instructions, the use of magnesium supplements is contraindicated for children under 6 years old, when taking a medication like levodopa, simultaneously, and of course, if there is increased sensitivity to magnesium and any other components of the medication. Also, when taking magnesium, people with renal insufficiency should exercise caution, as the risk of hypermagnesemia increases. So dear friends, even with beneficial magnesium, you need to be more careful. Do not take it in excessively large doses or for too long, and discontinue it immediately if side effects occur. And here, of course, you have a question. How long should you take magnesium if you tolerate it well? I usually recommend my patients to take the medication, magnesium, for 1-2 months. Then I definitely advise taking a break. And I recommend repeating such a course of intake on average 2 times a year. Well, in some extreme cases, 3 times a year. Now, let's go over the most common questions regarding the intake of magnesium supplements. Question: Doctor, can pregnant women take magnesium supplements, for example, if pregnant women have cramps in their legs? In general, of course, this question should be left to the discretion of your attending physician, but in principle, science does not state anywhere that magnesium is contraindicated for pregnant women. Question: Doctor, I need to take magnesium, but magnesium tablets with vitamin B6 are so expensive. Friends, it is not at all necessary to buy expensive magnesium tablets with vitamin B6. You can find quite affordable options in pharmacies. I am attaching an article to the video where I have listed several such inexpensive medications. And the link to this article is provided in the description of today's video. So if you wish, you can read it carefully and study everything thoroughly. A very common question: isn't it easier, when suspecting an excess or deficiency of magnesium, to do a comprehensive analysis of trace elements so as not to guess which specific trace elements are lacking? A fair question. In an ideal world, of course, it would be easier, it would be just wonderful. But unfortunately, for some people, such tests are quite expensive. Moreover, they are not available in every remote town or village. Additionally, in my observations, such tests are not always super accurate and do not always reflect all the characteristics of the body. For example, in my practice, I have encountered situations several times where a person's magnesium test seemed normal, yet upon taking magnesium, their leg cramps would disappear, or their blood pressure would stabilize, or their emotional state would improve, and nervousness would subside. And for some people, on the contrary, although very rarely, taking magnesium resulted in a negative reaction, with side effects or allergies appearing. So there are many nuances with tests. Dear friends, that's all for today.